welcome to the show. And today's story takes us to beautiful Valencia, California, where a man's love for his son is reflected in a restored 1948 Anglia. I'd like to welcome to the show now Mark Reese. He's the proud owner of a car he calls Angie. Thanks for joining us, Mark.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
So I've never seen an Anglia before. Did I say that right?
Yes, you did.
All right.
Very good.
What kind of car is an Anglia?
It's an English Ford. They were made actually in two plants in England from 1937 to 1959. They were not made during World War II years. The English were a little bit busy with overhead interference from the Germans.
I guess so.
But anyway, these were, very few of them got to the U.S. because there just was not much of a market for these little cars that were about the equivalent of a Volkswagen circa 1950. But they were very popular all around the world, and I think they made about 2 million of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, there are a lot of reasons for rebuilding or creating a hot rod like this, but I understand your attachment to Angie's very sentimental.
It is. This particular car was assembled from a lot of different parts and a lot of love and labor by my son, Ken. He built it in 1989 and 90 in Carmel, California. He put it away in 1992 to go off to airline pilot school, and unfortunately he was killed in a commercial airliner crash in January of 1997 near Detroit, and I've had the car the hard way ever since.
So when did you decide to take it on and continue it as a project?
About 4 days after Ken was killed, I was in his house near Cincinnati, and I went to his basement and I found a sign that I had never seen before. The sign described why he built this car, and at the very bottom line there was a dedication saying, "I want to thank Dad most of all for his inspiration and approval in building this." And when I saw that, it tore my heart out, but I knew that there was no way that I could ever let this car go, and there was no way that I could ever not finish it.
Because he grew up working on cars with you.
He and I spent a lot of time, from the time he was a little guy, helping me change tires and wash cars as a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old. He helped me do an engine swap when he was 9 years old in 1977.
At 9?
Yeah, at age 9. He actually helped. It wasn't just Daddy, or get Daddy the wrench. It was do things where my big club hands couldn't fit. He actually did help.
So he hadn't completed this car. You've taken it on to complete it, and you're almost done.
That's correct.
Wow. All right, Mark. Out of the $100,000 you spent on this car, how much of it is right here?
About $11,000 in 2 phases. The original engine cost about $8,000 to put together, and it was professionally built. And then I had a nitrous oxide run that went bad on me, and I blew up the original, and I had to rebuild it at a cost of an additional $3,000 or so.
I just heard nitrous.
Yeah, nitrous oxide injection. This has a plate system on it that's good for about 200 horsepower at the push of a button. Gives me a total of 600 horsepower if I need it.
So it starts at 400, but with the nitrous, you're at 600 horsepower.
Yeah.
So what's your 0 to 60 with the nitrous?
Oh, around 3 seconds, I guess, perhaps a little less.
And it's street legal?
For the most part, yes.
With the nitrous?
The nitrous is not exactly street legal, but the rest of the car is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Mark, I want to thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your story of your car and your love for your son, Ken. It's been such a pleasure.
Thanks, Angela. Perhaps there's one last little thing. Would you like to hear it?
Ooh, yes.
All right.